All right. So welcome everyone to another episode. We're here at Hummingbird Ranch in New Mexico, about an hour outside of Taos, New Mexico. It's an amazing 500-acre ranch and community in the high elevation alpine forest, as you can see. And I have here with me today Katharine and Carolyn of the co-creation work that I've been involved in this weekend with them, and as I've been here at this community last month with my family. And today we're going to ask Katharine and Carolyn a little bit more about their work and how we can get connected in with what they're working on in the world. Some beautiful, amazing co-creation processes and practices. So yeah, we'll just jump right in. So first question is, what is co-creation work and where did it come from?
Well, the way we define co-creation, which is a little bit different how business defines co-creation. Most people in business talk about either cooperation or collaboration, but we go beyond that and we say it's conscious co-participation with the impulse of creation or the patterns of creation. And we see it as being both vertical, so aligning the essence of who we are with the divine intelligence or spirit and with nature, and it also has a horizontal connection. That would be my essence to your essence would also be co-creation.
We often refer to co-creation as the relational path to awakening. So it's so much about how we be both with one another as well as with the voice of Gaia, with the wisdom of nature, like really tuning in to what is it that wants to emerge. So it's a really integrating of the feminine principles, I would say, of allowance and of receptive gesture with the masculine principles of focus and structure. But it allows for a union between those, or an integration, we'd say, in the way that we live our lives.
And where it came from, well, the first people I heard speak about co-creation were Peter and Eileen Caddy and Dorothy McLean, who were co-founders of Findhorn Community in Scotland. And initially they talked about co-creating with the elementals, the devas, with the nature spirits. And a lot of people know about the Findhorn Garden and how successful that was. And then David Spangler joined that community, and he brought in the social aspect of co-creation. But in my life personally, co-creation came into my life in 1983 in working with Barbara Marx Hubbard, who's a very gifted visionary, futurist, conscious evolutionary. And I was working with her on her political campaign for a positive future. And these practices came in my life by coming through me in the field of that campaign. So that's how they emerged in my life.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you use it a lot working with groups and with communities and corporations. Is there any other ways that this co-creation work can be applied?
Well, really in any of our relationships, whether it be our intimate partnerships or any projects, work we're doing. A lot of churches have used it. Unity Church particularly have really engaged the process of co-creation using the Co-Creator's Handbook, which we'll speak about in a minute. And where we've had people from so many different both generations and walks of life find it so valuable.
Even families. Beautiful in families, because it supports, it's a partnership model, so it makes all of us equal to one another. We're moving out of this, what we call the dominator model, the whole idea of hierarchy and somebody telling someone else what to do. And in this model we look within for our guidance, and we empower one another, and we see one another as co-equals.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And we, my experience is that both Carolyn and I feel very, very much encoded with the understanding of co-creation. I mean, it first came into my life also through Barbara Marx Hubbard, but in the 70s. And I noticed that through the last 40 years that everything I've done has been in that realm of working with another in the co-creative model. And it was really in coming together then with Carolyn in the late 80s that I recognized that she and Barbara had defined the template that we were just naturally living. But I think people discover within themselves that that's just their natural inclination. It's the way they're wired.
Yeah, and what I experienced this weekend, it's very similar to just you know, really being connected to a higher purpose, a higher calling in the work that we're doing, and you know, aligning the whole team with that sort of field of alignment and energy and cohesion and coherence, which I love that component of the weekend training. And so what, over the years you've been using this co-creation work, what do you feel like is at the essence or at the heart of it that really is a transformational aspect of this work?
Well, there are a number of elements that are at the heart of the co-creative process, but it is a heart-based process. So we talk about building the resonant field, and when we as individuals are in our essence, in our hearts, in a place of non-judgment, non-criticism, feeling really centered within ourselves, it's that resonant field that we create where two or more are gathered that really calls forth the magic of co-creation.
In fact, it's pretty necessary to have a resonant field in order for co-creation to emerge. Because if our actions are more egoically driven, you know, where there's agendas or positionality or judgments going on, then it doesn't allow for the free flowing of spirit or of the creative impulse to come through us. I mean, our egos become the vehicle for that, but what's really guiding is our essence.
Yeah, I'm reminded in this moment of, it's almost like an artist or a sculptor when they're working on their creative masterpiece. They're just connected into a flow of energy that's kind of coming through them, and they're not concerned about not always, but true, but usually they're not concerned about what people are going to think or say or do. It's just this energy of being one with what they're creating. And so this is kind of applying that creation process, this co-creative process in a group and with families and different contexts that it's, you know, needed.
Right, and as a group process too, it's really about drawing forth the highest and best in each other. So there's an upliftment that happens, a mutual upliftment, where we're seeing the divine qualities within each other, and we're drawing forth that creative impulse in a way that it finds expression, supporting it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I felt that this weekend.
It's definitely a flow state. It's like what athletes feel when they get in the zone, or artists when they just totally lose themselves. They and the art are one. It's that kind of a field.
Yeah, and I love that there's this reference too that it was encoded in the two of you, as you know, and it just sort of came out as this you know, as a part of the work that you've been doing in the world. Because when I first started out as a student activist, when I was 18 in Santa Barbara, I was, you know, involved in leading these student organizations, and I didn't have any formal training in group process facilitation or you know, how to be a leader, but I was able to fortunately mostly listen to my heart, and I was very connected to the purpose that you know, that we have to do something about the state of our planet. Like, this is our last chance, really. Our generation, it's our last chance to really make a big difference. And so I was able to, I feel like, tap into this higher resonant frequency with the groups as a student activist, and I've felt that over the years with counsel, the way of counsel work, that there's this one of the principles or concepts that's used in the way of counsel work is to always be reading the field, so we can be aware, you know, if someone is maybe closing down or checking out in the group, we can kind of feel that energy and check in. And I just love that ability to really be in the heart frequency, in the heart field, and aware. It's this greater awareness.
Well, we believe, and we have experienced, that all of us, every human being, is a master in some arena. And those of us who are really lucky find ourselves in that space where that is revealed to us. And I would suggest, you know, your mastery, you are encoded with being a leader and being a process person too. And it's in you. So when you're in that space, it just comes forth. Yeah, definitely. We all have our unique gifts and strengths, and that's the journey of life, right? Finding what it is that we're gifted with, that's unique and powerful, that we have to share with the world.
And then we're fulfilling our soul's purpose, or why we're here, and life is fulfilling.
Beautiful. So jump into the next question here in terms of this work. You know, a lot of what my inspiration for doing these videos is I want to provide people out there, I want to provide our viewers with with really empowering messages. And you know, this co-creation work is really empowering because it teaches us these necessary skills for working with groups and how to really you know, build an energy in a field that can make them so much more productive and efficient. But with that being said, over your years being involved in this work, what do you feel like is the most important message for our viewers, for young people, for adults, for people of all ages, that you know, given our transformational times, our challenging times, so much going on in the world politically and with conflict, from each of you, what do you feel like is the most important message for us all to hold in our hearts?
Well, I would say follow your bliss and listen within. Learn how to listen to that still small voice within and follow that. That would be my message.
Thank you.
Yeah, boy, there's a lot there. You know, as so many of the systems are breaking down around us, and there's a fair amount of chaos and confusion, I think, that's present, that to be able to be strong and resourced within is just, to me, foundational and critical to navigate these challenging times. And then to feel a sense of belonging and community and to work with others. That's what I think at the time of the lone wolf is over. Great expression. That it's really about cultivating community and relationship so that we recognize we're all in it together. And again, how do we then come together in an uplifting way? And being more in the flow state, there's the great quote about letting go of the riverbanks and going with the flow and really feeling carried by life. I mean, in an empowered way. Yeah. But where we're not in that struggle, resisting and trying to create something to happen that's actually not what's emerging. So the sense of inner peace and connectedness, I think, is very strong in following these principles, this understanding, which are some of the key principles of many of the traditions, wisdom traditions of our world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're reminding me of I think maybe even you're referencing the Hopi Elder Prophecy, and we were introduced that when we were student activists, and that has been so helpful to hold in my consciousness as well, this idea of, you know, going with that flow of the river, knowing that it has its destination, and you know, like following that bliss, like you were saying, Carolyn, and then Katharine, you were referencing not clinging to the shore. You know, that I think it says that we will be ripped apart if we try and cling to attachment or the known. You know, these things that are comfortable and safe, and then my favorite part is knowing the river has its destination, and look around you and celebrate. These could be good times.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're very inspiring times. I have a lot of optimism, and of course, I'm mostly connected with what's emerging, what's breaking through, all the great positive, innovative solutions that are coming forth, and the beautiful, heartful, compassionate actions that are happening. And I wanted to weave back around to your speaking about the activism, because I think we're all being called into a stronger participation in responding to the challenges that are happening, but to do so from a non-reactive place, from an open-hearted place. So it's just acknowledging you for naturally just tuning into that in your activist work. And I think to be a conscious activist and in applying these principles, then we're not feeding the polarity that then just magnifies it, but we're actually kind of doing more of an aikido in seeing how to work with the energy so that it can more dissipate and be infused with love, which really is what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned quickly as a student activist that importance of, if we are fighting against something, it's this idea of what we resist persists, and what we push against has more strength or more force. And so that's so important, just to acknowledge that we're all in this together, find the common ground, go for that positive vision, work towards it, and not necessarily be against anyone or anything, but for what's possible and what's evolving to emerge, what's emerging on this planet.
Right, with compassion and really a movement toward unity. It's not that we want to create more separation, we want to find those places that we unify, come together.
Absolutely. Excellent.